The City of Lights, a place of romance and culture, became the backdrop for a horrific crime in 1981. Issei Sagawa, a Japanese student, committed an act so unspeakable it sent shockwaves across the globe. This wasn't just a murder, it was an act of cannibalism. Sagawa, obsessed with a Dutch student named René Hardevelt, lured her to his apartment. There, he shot her, dismembered her body, and consumed parts of her flesh. The details once revealed would forever taint the romantic image of Paris, and expose the dark potential that lurked beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary individuals. Sagawa's crime was not a spontaneous act of violence, it was the culmination of years of disturbing fantasies and a growing obsession with cannibalism. His fascination, as he would later confess, stemmed from a deep-seated desire to consume the beauty and vitality of his victims. This gruesome desire, coupled with his warped sense of reality, led him down a path of no return, culminating in the horrific act that would forever define his life. The world watched in disbelief as the details of Sagawa's crime unfolded. The brutal murder, the calculated dismemberment, and the chilling act of cannibalism painted a picture of a man consumed by his own darkness. But even more shocking than the crime itself was the legal aftermath. Issei Sagawa's descent into darkness was a slow and insidious process, rooted in a childhood marked by both privilege and peculiarity. Born into a wealthy family in Kobe, Japan, Sagawa's life seemed destined for success. However, beneath the veneer of normalcy lay a troubled mind grappling with disturbing thoughts and desires. From a young age, Sagawa harbored fantasies of cannibalism, often triggered by images of women's legs. These fantasies, initially fleeting and abstract, gradually took root in Sagawa's psyche, becoming an insidious obsession. His academic pursuits, far from offering an escape, seemed to fuel his dark desires. As a literature student, Sagawa immersed himself in the works of the Marquis de Sade, whose graphic depictions of violence and perversion resonated with his own twisted thoughts. Sagawa's descent into depravity was further enabled by his family's wealth and influence. His parents, blinded by love and a desire to protect their son, often overlooked his increasingly erratic behavior. This lack of intervention, coupled with Sagawa's own cunning ability to conceal his true nature, allowed his dark fantasies to fester and grow, ultimately culminating in the horrific act that would shock the world. By the time Issei Sagawa arrived in Paris, he was already deeply entrenched in his dark fantasies. These fantasies had morphed into a consuming obsession, one that he could no longer control or suppress. It was in this city, known for its romance and beauty, that he met René Hardevelt, a Dutch student who would become the object of his twisted desires. Sagawa, drawn to Hardevelt's beauty and vivacious personality, saw in her an embodiment of the women who had haunted his fantasies for so long. Her presence ignited a dangerous spark within him. Sagawa's initial attempts to befriend Hardevelt were met with polite but firm resistance. She was kind but cautious, unaware of the darkness lurking behind his friendly facade. Undeterred by her resistance, he concocted a plan, inviting her to his apartment under the pretense of needing help with his studies. He was determined to get closer to her, no matter the cost. Hardevelt, unaware of the danger that awaited her, accepted his invitation, unknowingly sealing her fate. She walked into his apartment thinking she was helping a fellow student. On June 11, 1981, inside his Parisian apartment, Issei Sagawa's dark fantasies took a horrific turn into reality. The City of Lights would soon be overshadowed by his monstrous act. As René Hardevelt sat with her back to him, Sagawa retrieved a rifle and shot her in the back. The act was as sudden as it was brutal. The gunshot, a deafening blast that shattered the silence of the apartment, marked the beginning of a gruesome ordeal. The echo of the shot lingered, a harbinger of the horror to come. Over the next 3 days, Sagawa's apartment transformed into a scene of unimaginable horror. The walls bore silent witness to his unspeakable acts. He dismembered Hardevelt's body, storing parts of her flesh in his refrigerator. Each act was a step deeper into his own madness. Driven by his twisted desires, Sagawa consumed portions of her body, attempting to absorb her beauty and vitality. His actions were a grotesque manifestation of his inner demons. The details, later revealed during his trial, painted a chilling portrait of a man consumed by his own darkness. The world watched in horror as the extent of his depravity was laid bare. Section 4. A botched investigation and a shocking release. The discovery of René Hardevelt's remains sent shockwaves through Paris and beyond. French authorities, initially slow to connect Sagawa to the crime, eventually apprehended him after witnesses reported seeing him disposing of suitcases containing human remains. The evidence against him was overwhelming, leaving little doubt about his guilt. However, the legal proceedings took a controversial turn. Deemed unfit to stand trial by French psychiatrists, Sagawa was declared legally insane and committed to a mental institution. This decision, met with outrage by Harteveldt's family and the public, sparked accusations of a miscarriage of justice. Adding to the controversy, Sagawa's affluent family leveraged their wealth and influence to secure his extradition back to Japan in 1984. Upon his return, Sagawa was admitted to a psychiatric hospital, but his stay would be short-lived. Despite his earlier diagnosis, Japanese doctors deemed him sane and capable of understanding the gravity of his actions. In a shocking turn of events, Issei Sagawa, the Paris cannibal, was released from custody in 1986. This decision, met with international condemnation, highlighted the vast discrepancies in legal systems and sparked heated debates about criminal responsibility, cultural relativism, and the very nature of justice itself. Section 5. The Cannibal Celebrity, Sagawa's Life After Release. Issei Sagawa's release from custody in 1986 marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one that would be defined by his notoriety and his shameless exploitation of the public's fascination with his crimes. His release was met with a mix of outrage and morbid curiosity, as people struggled to understand how someone who had committed such a heinous act could walk free. Far from retreating into obscurity, Sagawa seemed to relish his infamy, capitalizing on his horrific act to achieve a level of notoriety that would have been unthinkable had he not committed such a crime. He became a bizarre figure in the public eye, a man who had turned his darkest deed into a twisted form of celebrity. Sagawa became a fixture in Japanese media, granting interviews, appearing on talk shows, and even publishing books detailing his crimes and his twisted philosophies. His presence in the media was both shocking and compelling, drawing viewers who were both horrified and fascinated by his unapologetic demeanor. He seemed to revel in the attention, his every word and action scrutinized by a public both repulsed and strangely captivated by his story. His ability to manipulate the media and public opinion was a testament to his cunning and his understanding of human nature. His gruesome act, rather than being a source of shame, became a perverse badge of honor, a calling card that granted him access to a world that would have otherwise remained closed to him. He used his notoriety to gain entry into exclusive circles, where his infamy was both a curiosity and a form of currency. Sagawa's writings and public appearances, often laced with disturbing humor and a chilling lack of remorse, further fueled the public's fascination with his case. His ability to speak so casually about his crime was both unsettling and intriguing, adding to his dark allure. He became a macabre celebrity, his name synonymous with the darkest depths of human depravity. His story was a grim reminder of the thin line between normalcy and monstrosity, a line that Sagawa had crossed with chilling ease. His story, a stark reminder of the potential for evil that lurks within us all, served as a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder of the fragility of civilization and the ever-present threat of chaos. Sagawa's life after release was a disturbing testament to the human fascination with the macabre and the ways in which society grapples with the existence of true evil. Section 6. The Psychology of a Cannibal, Exploring Sagawa's Motives. The case of Issei Sagawa presented a unique challenge to criminal psychologists and forensic experts who sought to understand the motivations behind his horrific act. His crime was not just a simple act of violence but a deeply disturbing event that shook the foundations of what we understand about human behavior. Unlike many murderers driven by rage, revenge, or a desire for power, Sagawa's cannibalism seemed to stem from a complex interplay of psychological factors, rooted in his early childhood experiences and fueled by his own twisted desires. His actions were not impulsive but rather the result of long-standing fantasies and compulsions. Some experts theorize that Sagawa's cannibalism was a manifestation of a deep-seated inferiority complex. This complex may have been exacerbated by societal pressures and personal insecurities, leading him to seek control and dominance in the most grotesque manner imaginable. His diminutive stature and frail physique, often a source of insecurity during his formative years, may have contributed to a desire to consume the perceived strength and vitality of his victims. This act of cannibalism could be seen as an attempt to internalize the qualities he felt he lacked. Others pointed to Sagawa's obsessive-compulsive tendencies and his fascination with Western culture as contributing factors. His obsession with Western ideals and aesthetics might have played a significant role in shaping his fantasies and ultimately his actions. His meticulous planning of the crime, his detailed descriptions of dismemberment and consumption, and his choice of a Western woman as his victim all suggested a carefully constructed fantasy, meticulously planned and executed. This level of detail and premeditation indicates a mind deeply entrenched in its own dark desires. Despite numerous attempts to analyze Sagawa's psyche, his true motivations remain shrouded in mystery. The layers of his psychological makeup are complex and multifaceted, making it difficult to pinpoint a single cause. Was he driven by a primal urge, a deep-seated psychological disorder, or a complex combination of both? The questions surrounding his motives are as perplexing as they are disturbing. The answer, elusive and unsettling, continues to fascinate and horrify, reminding us of the unfathomable depths of the human mind and the enduring power of our darkest desires. The enigma of Sagawa's motives serves as a chilling reminder of the potential for darkness within us all.